So today I have the great pleasure of launching our 2020-2021 series of Zoom for Thought, and it's in collaboration with the UCD School of Computer Science and also the Women in Computer Science group. And I have the great pleasure today of speaking with Professor Muthoni Masinde, who's a professor of computer science and also an entrepreneur in information technology and the head of the IT department at the Central University of Technology in South Africa. And today we will discuss the topic of returning to our roots to combat a crisis. So, hi Muthoni, how are you doing today?
Hi Patricia, I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for having me in the show.
You're very, very welcome, Muthoni. And the first question for our listeners today is, where are you located, Muthoni, and how has life been during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Patricia, I'm talking to you from the center of South Africa, in the judicial capital of South Africa called Bloemfontein. It's been abnormal, so to say, for me for the last 5 months that we've been on lockdown. But somehow I've managed to try and make the normal out of the abnormal. Thank you.
Okay, so you are the founder and CEO of ITIKI. So can you please tell our listeners about this, and also why are you have you been so passionately involved in this project?
Etiki is a drought predicting tool that integrates our African indigenous knowledge with computer science to predict drought for small-scale farmers. I'm so passionate about it because I did experience firsthand what small-scale farmers are facing for the lack of the tools or ways of knowing how to decide when to plant, what to plant, and even where to plant. So I decided to do it first for the local people, and then use the knowledge of computer science that I love so much.
Okay, so it sounds like a hugely interdisciplinary project. And would that be correct in saying?
Yes, Patricia. Starting off from the indigenous knowledge itself, that's social science mixed with humanities. And then in between there, we have to understand agriculture, because you don't help them if you don't know the workers from the farms. And also there's an element of design science, because we design the tools using design science so that it can fit for the people. And lastly, climate science. I've almost become a climatologist to myself. So it's our interdisciplinary research involved.
Yes, so Muthoni, a little bit more about that. So is there a huge team involved, or have you taken on a lot of this interdisciplinary aspect yourself? Just curious.
There's a huge interdisciplinary group involved. We collaborate, for example, here in South Africa with South African Weather Service. In University of KwaZulu-Natal, we collaborate with crop scientists. And when it goes to collecting the indigenous knowledge from the people, we work with them so that they can feel part of it. So it's a huge group. I'm just one pillar of the bigger picture.
Ah, yes, but you're the leader and founder and CEO, so it's amazing. So I'm just wondering, in the last, I suppose, 6 months with the pandemic, how has this changed your work? And I suppose I'm just curious if there's been any unforeseen opportunities.
Since I wear many hats, first of all, I teach. So that bit of it has really improved, because now the material is ready for online offering. For the business of etiki, we managed to extend the tool to also use it to capture incidences of COVID infections by geo-mapping those. But of course, on the negative side, since our tool involves contact, we need to visit the farmers. A bit of it has suffered, but we'll be able to come up again.
Okay, and my last question for our 5 questions in 5 minutes is, what makes you excited about the future of artificial intelligence, and especially in relation to what you're doing, combining AI with societal good?
Artificial intelligence fits perfectly well first into the 4th industrial revolution. It's really the oil that's driving it. And we in computer science are exploring AI for good. For example, if you're looking at explainable AI, it's possible to use the complex algorithms we use in a way that the people understand it. And it can change any aspect of our lives.
Okay. So there's absolutely loads of questions coming in for you, Muthoni, here. So I'm going to try and get through as many as possible in the next 10 minutes. So here's a very interesting one. Somebody's been reading up a lot about you. It actually says, etiki predicts more than drought. How does it predict the arrival of locusts and also armyworms?
Okay, the indigenous knowledge is very holistic. So, for example, right now we are starting to receive indicators that will show how much it will rain in October. So in collecting that, we collect so much more. Last year, one of the indicators that came through to us was that a particular bird had been sighted. And the last time it was sighted, which was almost 50 years ago, the locusts came. It's because this particular bird feasts on them.
Hello, sorry, I think my Wi-Fi just cut off for a second there, so okay. I'm very sorry, but loads more questions in for you. So people are curious how many farmers are using the ITIKI app and in how many languages and also countries.
Since we are a bottom-up operation, kind of, we have about 15,000 farmers. More than 10,000 of those are in Kenya. A few of them are in Mozambique, and the rest are in South Africa. So in each of those locations, we use the local language of that location. So essentially, 3 local languages are in use.
Okay, and I think from our chat, so we had an offline chat earlier, so I believe your mother actually uses this app. Am I correct in saying?
Yes, she does. In a very original setup, I actually designed it for the people in my mom's village, so they were the first users of the tool.
Yeah, incredible. And so where does the local knowledge come from? How do you gather the local knowledge, Muthoni?
Okay, we've engaged an army of whom we call etiki ambassadors. You can see them like salespeople, but they're not salespeople. So we've armed them, we've given them a smartphone each, and they go into the village, take pictures, and record every occurrence of the indigenous knowledge, almost in real-time basis, using the mobile app.
Okay. And you were telling me earlier about a white frog. So I don't know if you'd like to tell our listeners, because I was very much intrigued by this.
About what, Patricia?
When the farmers see the white frog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the indigenous knowledge has many faces. One of them is the insects, like or animals or birds. The most phenomenal incident is white frogs, because it's very rare. Anytime it's spotted, it represents something. Or when they see ants moving on a straight line, it means something. But for some reason, even in every community I've read about indigenous knowledge, including Asia, white frog features prominently. It's in the many cases, it's a bad omen.
Okay, that's incredibly interesting. So more of our listeners are asking about climate change and what impact has climate change had on indigenous knowledge forecasts?
It's massive, Patricia, I must say, because the indigenous knowledge includes things like water bodies, trees, in other words, everything about nature. And things like biodegradation has made those trees are no longer there. So we could be talking about less than 50% of the knowledge is currently existing. But by using a system like ours, it's possible to conserve what there is and pass it on to the next generation. But the effect is massive.
Yeah. Okay. And also, I suppose another listener is wondering how far in advance can ITIKI predict drought? Can predict drought?
In the beginning, I said we integrated with scientific models. So from the scientific point of view, there's a point where science kicks in, and it's possible to predict up to 36 months in advance. But indigenous knowledge alone works for a season. When I say season, it means up to 6 months. The local people, after 6 months, they don't have that knowledge. So it's local knowledge up to 6 months, but when you integrate it with the scientific one, in the short term, it's highly accurate. After 6 months, then you have to use the models alone.
So this is really intriguing, because it sounds like, Muthoni, that this can be used for other instances. I know you spoke about the unforeseen opportunities around COVID, but can it be used maybe in crop science? Would that be another application?
Yes, we've reached almost 50% into our research. We are using it for crop science. We partnered with a crop scientist, and one of the a PhD student is developing crop decisions and optimization using indigenous knowledge. And we've also attempted to use it to predict incidences of malaria, because malaria and weather are interrelated. So it can be used in very many areas of our lives, Patricia.
Okay, and another listener has asked about subsistence farmers and what percentage are women. So your mum obviously is one of them, but what percentage of the farmers, because they would run the farms in Africa, is that correct? What percentage of your indigenous farmers are women?
They do. We faithfully collect data, and I can confirm it's slightly over 70% are women. Yes.
Interesting. And so you're really and how are you measuring the impact of this on these women? I mean, in terms of how are you measuring the outcomes of this project?
Over the last years, what we've done is that we check the size of the land that they are planting, and as we follow up how much they harvest. So then we keep statistics to show what is the change in yield in terms of when you use and we don't use. And we have some cases of up to 11% increase in yield, which to us was very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually one listener has had a very interesting question, is almost in terms of Ireland. So we have almost the opposite problem in Ireland. We have too much rain sometimes. Sometimes we have drought too, but most of the time we have too much rain. And they're wondering, maybe could your prediction tool maybe integrated with local Irish knowledge? Could this work here? Would there be applications for that?
Yes, it's actually it can actually work for anyone, because we've used relational databases, we've used basic cognitive maps, so that before you start using it, you must create the mappings for your own area. Because I need to tell you that even in our usage here, when you move it from one location to another, you still have to customize it so that it fits the local knowledge of those people. So it can work anywhere as long as you train the models and do the mappings.
And here's a closing question for you, Muthoni, because unfortunately we're running out of time. So I suppose to wrap up, I'm just really curious about your opinion on the following question, and it's really about Africa playing a leading role in the global fight against climate change, and also maybe in leading this through an AI for societal good. So just really, you know, in the last 30 seconds, try to understand your opinion on
that. This is very timely because I'm actually writing a piece about it.
Okay.
If we use today's talk theme as the basis, going back to the roots, Africans will have a very huge contribution. And then after that, you can borrow what's coming from the West and integrate it to predict. We are playing a greater role, but not enough, I would say so, yes.
So huge opportunities, what you're saying to us, huge opportunity. And we hope that there'll be lots of collaboration with Ireland and with Europe, and of course, Ireland after this Zoom for Thought. Muthoni, unfortunately, we are out of time, so sincere apologies to all the questions that I didn't get to. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say a huge, huge thank you to Muthoni for the most fascinating discussion today, and for everybody else for joining in. We have obviously kicked off Zoom for Thought again for 2021, so don't forget to join us every Tuesday and check out our upcoming speakers on zoomforthought.ie or subscribe to our mailing list at discovery@ucd.ie. So Muthoni, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Patricia.
Thanks so much again, Muthoni, and a pleasure to have you. And thanks so much, everyone. Have an absolutely great day and see you all on our next Zoom for Thought. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.